Imagine waking up one day with the realization that something crucial is missing in your life. You've been navigating your days on autopilot, following routines that feel empty and lacking purpose. It's a feeling that so many people experience but don't always know how to overcome. It can be challenging to pinpoint exactly where things went wrong, but you know deep down that you want to feel more energized, more fulfilled, more in control of your destiny. What if I told you that the key to this transformation isn't a massive overhaul or a drastic lifestyle change, but something much simpler, small, intentional habits? This realization changed my life. It wasn't some life-altering event or radical decision that shifted everything for me. It was a series of tiny adjustments that I made over the course of just 1 week. The beauty of these changes is that anyone can implement them, no matter where they are in life, no matter how busy their schedule. These 5 habits may sound simple, but their impact is profound. They gave me back control over my time, my energy, and my mindset. They helped me break free from a cycle of stagnation and create a life filled with intention and purpose. So, before you dismiss the idea that your life can transform in just a week, I encourage you to keep an open mind. These are not gimmicks. They are practical, actionable habits that have stood the test of time. By the end of this journey, you'll understand that the power to change your life lies not in grand gestures but in small, consistent steps that accumulate into something far greater than the sum of their parts. Let's dive in. Habit 1. Rising early, the secret to finding time and clarity. The first habit that changed everything for me was waking up early. Now, I know what you're thinking. Waking up early is nothing new or revolutionary. It's a piece of advice that's been repeated countless times, from productivity experts to self-help gurus. But I'm here to tell you that the real power of waking up early isn't in the extra hours you gain. It's in what those hours represent. For most of my life, I was a night owl. I loved staying up late, working on projects, watching movies, or just scrolling through social media. Mornings, on the other hand, were chaotic and stressful. I would wake up just in time to rush through my morning routine, often skipping breakfast and running out the door feeling frazzled. I never started the day with a clear sense of purpose. I was always reacting to the demands of the day rather than proactively shaping it. That all changed when I decided to experiment with waking up early. I set my alarm for 5 a.m., a time that seemed impossibly early for someone like me. The first few days were brutal. My body resisted the change, and I felt groggy and unmotivated. But something strange happened by the 3rd day. I began to enjoy the quiet solitude of the early morning. There's something magical about being awake when the rest of the world is still asleep. The air feels different, the silence is calming, and there's a sense of ownership over those early hours that is hard to describe. In those early hours, I found space to think, to reflect, and to plan. I wasn't rushing around trying to catch up. Instead, I was starting my day with intention. I would stretch, meditate, or simply enjoy a quiet cup of coffee while watching the sunrise. These moments became sacred to me, a time when I could center myself before the noise and busyness of the day began. One of the most profound benefits of waking up early was the clarity it brought to my mind. Without the distractions of the day, I had time to think about what truly mattered to me. I could reflect on my goals, both short-term and long-term, and align my actions with those priorities. This clarity extended beyond just my morning routine. It affected how I approached my work, my relationships, and my personal growth. Another unexpected benefit was how waking up early helped me manage stress. Instead of starting the day in a state of anxiety, I was calm and collected. I had time to organize my thoughts and set my intentions for the day. This meant that when challenges arose, I was better equipped to handle them with patience and grace. There's also a deeper, almost spiritual aspect to rising early. In many ancient cultures, the early hours of the morning are considered sacred. In Ayurveda, for example, the time before sunrise is known as Brahma Muhurta, a period believed to be highly conducive to spiritual practices and mental clarity. The Stoics, too, emphasized the importance of beginning the day with mindfulness and reflection. By waking up early, you tap into a tradition that stretches back thousands of years, a tradition that values the power of the morning as a time for self-improvement and growth. If you've never been a morning person, I understand your skepticism, but I urge you to give it a try. Even if it's just for a week. Start small. Set your alarm 15 minutes earlier each day until you reach a time that feels right for you. Use those extra moments to reflect, plan, or simply enjoy the quiet before the day begins. You might be surprised at how much power lies in reclaiming your mornings. Habit 2. Daily exercise, moving your body. Moving your life forward. The second habit that had a profound impact on my life was incorporating daily exercise into my routine. For a long time, I viewed exercise as something I should do rather than something I wanted to do. I had a complicated relationship with fitness. I knew it was good for me, but I often lacked the motivation to make it a regular part of my life. Like many people, I had fallen into the trap of making excuses. I'm too busy. I'll start tomorrow. Or, I'm just too tired. But the truth is, daily movement is about far more than just physical fitness. It's about taking care of your body, your mind, and your emotional well-being. What I discovered was that the benefits of exercise go far beyond the obvious physical advantages. Exercise became my time to reconnect with myself, to clear my mind, and to release the stress and tension that had built up throughout the day. I didn't start with an intense workout regimen. In fact, I kept it simple. I committed to moving my body for at least 20 minutes every day. Whether that was through a brisk walk, a light yoga session, or some basic strength training, the key wasn't in pushing myself to the limit. It was in creating a sustainable habit that I could stick with over time. The first few days were tough. My muscles were sore, and I often felt more tired than energized. But by the fourth day, something remarkable happened. I woke up feeling refreshed and alert. My mood had improved drastically, and I noticed that I was carrying less tension in my body. It wasn't just the physical benefits that kept me going. It was the mental clarity that came with it. Those 20 minutes of exercise became my time to disconnect from the world and reconnect with myself. There's a powerful connection between physical movement and mental clarity. When you move your body, you're not just working on your physical health, you're also giving your mind the space to rest, reflect, and reset. Exercise releases endorphins, which are often referred to as the brain's feel-good chemicals. These endorphins help reduce stress, improve your mood, and even increase your ability to focus and concentrate. One of the most powerful moments during this experiment came when I went for a jog early one morning. The air was crisp, the sky was clear, and as I ran, I felt a sense of freedom and empowerment that I hadn't experienced in a long time. It was just me, the open road, and my thoughts. There were no distractions, no emails to answer, no to-do lists to worry about, just the simple act of putting one foot in front of the other. In that moment, I realized that exercise wasn't just about staying fit. It was about creating space for myself in a world that often feels overwhelming. Another aspect of exercise that I hadn't anticipated was the way it improved my self-confidence. As I grew stronger physically, I also became more confident in my ability to handle challenges. This newfound confidence extended beyond just my workouts. It affected how I approached my work, my relationships, and even my goals. I realized that if I could commit to something as simple as daily movement, I could also commit to other areas of my life that needed attention and growth. Exercise also had a ripple effect on other aspects of my life. I started sleeping better, my digestion improved, and I felt more energized throughout the day. My posture improved, and I carried myself with more grace and poise. But perhaps the most important change was in my mindset. I no longer viewed exercise as a chore. It became a form of self-care. A way to show myself love and respect. If you're struggling to make exercise a regular part of your routine, I encourage you to start small. Find an activity that you enjoy. Whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or simply taking a walk in nature. The key is consistency. It doesn't matter if you start with just 10 minutes a day. What matters is that you show up for yourself and make movement a priority. Over time, you'll begin to see how this small habit can lead to big changes in both your body and your mind. Habit 3. Journaling, the art of reflection and growth. Journaling is a habit that often gets overlooked in the hustle and bustle of daily life. It's easy to dismiss it as something trivial or time-consuming, especially when there's so much else demanding our attention. But I've come to realize that journaling is one of the most powerful tools we have for self-reflection, personal growth, and emotional healing. It's a practice that allows us to step back from the noise of the world and connect with our inner selves. I used to think that journaling was only for people who were naturally introspective or had a lot of free time on their hands. I never considered myself the type of person who could sit down at the end of a long day and write about my thoughts and feelings. But after hearing so many people talk about the benefits of journaling, I decided to give it a try. I didn't set any expectations. I simply bought a notebook and started writing. The first few entries were awkward. I wasn't sure what to say, and I often found myself staring at a blank page, unsure of where to start. But as I continued, something began to shift. I realized that journaling wasn't about writing the perfect entry or having profound insights. It was about creating a space where I could be honest with myself. It became a way for me to process my emotions, track my progress, and gain clarity on the things that mattered most to me. One of the most surprising benefits of journaling was how it helped me manage stress. There were days when I felt overwhelmed by everything on my plate, work deadlines, personal responsibilities, and the endless demands of modern life. But by writing about these feelings, I was able to step back and see things from a different perspective. Journaling helped me break down my problems into smaller, more manageable pieces. It allowed me to release pent-up emotions and find solutions to the challenges I was facing. Another powerful aspect of journaling was the ability to track my growth over time. As I flipped through the pages of my journal, I could see how much progress I had made in various areas of my life. I wrote about my goals, my struggles, and my victories, no matter how small they seemed. Looking back at these entries gave me a sense of pride and motivation to keep moving forward. It reminded me that growth isn't always linear, but every step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. Gratitude also became a central theme in my journaling practice. Each night, I made a point to write down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, this felt a bit forced. I struggled to come up with things that I genuinely felt thankful for. But over time, I began to notice all the small blessings in my life that I had been taking for granted. The warmth of the sun on my skin, a kind word from a stranger, or even the simple pleasure of a hot cup of coffee became moments of gratitude that I cherished. This shift in perspective helped me cultivate a more positive outlook on life, even on days when things didn't go as planned. If you've never tried journaling, I encourage you to give it a try. You don't need to be a writer or have profound thoughts to benefit from it. Just write whatever comes to mind, without worrying about grammar or structure. Allow yourself to be vulnerable on the page, and over time, You'll find that journaling becomes a powerful tool for self-reflection, emotional healing, and personal growth. Habit 4. Mindful eating, savoring the present moment. Mindful eating is a practice that has transformed the way I approach food and nutrition. For years, I had developed a habit of eating on the go, rushing through meals without paying attention to what I was consuming. My meals were often eaten in front of a screen. Whether it was my phone, computer, or television, I rarely took the time to savor my food or notice how much I was eating. But mindful eating isn't just about what you eat, it's about how you eat. It's about being fully present with your food, paying attention to each bite, and listening to your body's hunger and fullness cues. It's a practice that can help you develop a healthier relationship with food and bring more awareness to the choices you make. When I first started practicing mindful eating, it felt strange. I sat down at the table without any distractions, no phone, no TV, no laptop. It was just me and my meal. I started by taking a few deep breaths, centering myself in the present moment, and bringing my full attention to the act of eating. I noticed the colors, the textures, and the smells of my food. As I took each bite, I paid attention to the flavors and the sensations in my body. For the first time in a long while, I truly savored my food. I realized that I had been missing out on the pleasure of eating by rushing through meals or mindlessly snacking. Foods that I had eaten hundreds of times before suddenly had new, delightful flavors and textures that I had never noticed. One particularly memorable meal was a simple bowl of oatmeal. Normally, I would have eaten it quickly, without giving it much thought. But this time, I slowed down and savored the creamy texture and the sweetness of the honey I drizzled on top. It became a moment of mindfulness and gratitude that set a positive tone for the rest of my day. Mindful eating also helped me become more aware of my body's signals. By paying attention to my hunger and fullness cues, I naturally ate less and felt more satisfied after meals. I no longer felt the need to overeat or snack mindlessly throughout the day. I also started to notice how different foods made me feel. Processed, sugary snacks left me feeling sluggish and bloated, while fresh, whole foods made me feel energized and light. One of the most important lessons I learned from mindful eating was the emotional connection I had with food. I realized that I often ate out of boredom, stress, or a desire for comfort, rather than true hunger. By bringing awareness to these patterns, I was able to make more intentional choices about when and what I ate. For example, one evening after a long and stressful day, I found myself craving something sweet. Normally, I would have reached for a sugary snack without thinking twice. But this time, I paused and asked myself if I was truly hungry or if I was just seeking comfort. I realized that what I really needed was a break, some relaxation, and perhaps a warm cup of herbal tea instead. If you're interested in trying mindful eating, start with just one meal a day. Set aside distractions, take a few deep breaths, and focus on each bite. Notice the flavors, textures, and sensations of eating. Pay attention to how the food makes you feel, both physically and emotionally. This simple practice can change your entire relationship with food and help you cultivate a deeper sense of mindfulness in your daily life. Habit 5. Limiting screen time, reclaiming your time and energy. In today's fast-paced digital world, it's almost impossible to escape the constant bombardment of notifications, emails, and social media updates. We live in a culture that encourages us to be constantly connected, constantly checking our phones, and constantly consuming content. But all of this screen time comes at a cost: our mental health, our productivity, and even our relationships suffer when we're glued to our screens. I realized that I had fallen into the habit of mindlessly scrolling through social media, binge watching TV shows, and checking my email far too often. My days felt fragmented, and I often ended up feeling drained and unfocused by the end of the day. So I decided to set some boundaries around my screen time, and the results were life-changing. I started by limiting my non-work-related screen time to just 1 hour a day. This meant no mindless scrolling through Instagram, no endless YouTube marathons, and no late-night TV binges. At first, it was difficult. I had become so accustomed to filling every spare moment with screen time that I wasn't sure what to do with myself when I wasn't glued to a screen. But as the days went by, I noticed something incredible. I had more time. Without screens to distract me, I rediscovered old hobbies and interests that I had neglected for years. I picked up a book that had been sitting on my shelf for months, started doodling and drawing again, and even tried my hand at cooking new recipes. One evening, instead of watching TV after dinner, I decided to take a walk in the park. The fresh air, the sounds of nature, and the simple act of moving my body felt incredibly rejuvenating. It was a stark contrast to the usual screen-induced lethargy that I had become so used to. Limiting screen time also had a profound impact on my sleep. I used to take my phone to bed, scrolling through social media or watching videos until I felt sleepy. But this habit often left me feeling wired and restless, leading to poor sleep. By eliminating screens before bedtime, I found it much easier to wind down and fall asleep naturally. I started a bedtime routine that didn't involve screens, reading a physical book, meditating, or simply reflecting on my day. This change led to deeper, more restful sleep and made a huge difference in my overall energy levels. Another surprising benefit of limiting screen time was the improvement in my mental health. Without the constant barrage of news updates, social media comparisons, and digital distractions, I felt less anxious and more present in my daily life. I was able to focus better on the people and activities that truly mattered to me. And I felt more connected to the world around me. One particularly memorable day was when I spent an entire afternoon at a local cafe with just a notebook and a pen. I wrote down my thoughts, planned some goals, and even sketched a bit. It was such a peaceful and productive time, free from the interruptions of digital notifications. Of course, there were moments of temptation and slips along the way, but each time I noticed myself reaching for my phone out of habit, I gently reminded myself of the benefits I was experiencing and redirected my focus to something more fulfilling. Limiting screen time is not about completely eliminating technology from your life. It's about creating a healthier balance and being more intentional with your time. If you're feeling overwhelmed or disconnected, I encourage you to try setting some screen time boundaries. Start small, maybe with an hour less each day, and use that extra time to reconnect with yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you. You might be surprised at how much richer and more fulfilling life can be when you step away from the screens and engage more with the real world. As I look back on the week that changed my life, I'm struck by how simple these habits were. Waking up early, moving my body, journaling, eating mindfully, and limiting screen time. None of these were drastic changes. Yet, they had a profound impact on my life. They taught me the power of small, intentional shifts and how these shifts can accumulate into something much greater. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you don't need a massive overhaul to create a life that feels meaningful, fulfilling, and aligned with your deepest values. You just need to start. Start with one small habit, one small change, and watch as it ripples through your life, creating a transformation that goes far beyond what you could have imagined. So I invite you to try these habits for yourself. Start with one, see how it feels, and adjust according to what suits your lifestyle and needs. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's about making small, manageable changes that lead to lasting transformations. And as you embark on this journey of growth, Know that you have everything you need within you to create a life you love. Exploring the concept of keystone habits. One of the most fascinating ideas I encountered during my journey of self-improvement was the concept of keystone habits. These are habits that, when adopted, create a ripple effect, influencing other areas of your life in unexpected ways. It's like a domino effect. Once you implement a keystone habit, it sets off a chain reaction that leads to the development of other positive behaviors. For me, waking up early became that keystone habit. Keystone habits are powerful because they create a sense of momentum. When you start your day by successfully implementing one small habit, it builds a sense of accomplishment that carries over into other parts of your day. This success mindset, in turn, fuels other good decisions and habits. For example, waking up early gave me the time and space to exercise, which improved my mood and energy levels. This increase in energy then motivated me to eat more mindfully and take better care of my mental health through journaling. Charles Duhigg, the author of The Power of Habit, describes keystone habits as the foundation upon which other habits are built. These habits don't just lead to change in one area, they often lead to widespread transformation. Duhigg's research found that people who start exercising regularly, a keystone habit, are also more likely to eat healthier, have improved focus at work, and experience less stress. Incorporating keystone habits into your life can also lead to what Duhigg calls small wins. These are incremental achievements that build up over time and create a sense of positive momentum. It's not about making massive changes overnight, but rather about taking small, consistent steps in the right direction. These small wins then create a foundation for even bigger changes in the future. The key to identifying your own keystone habits is to look for the behaviors that have a disproportionate impact on your life. For example, exercise, mindfulness practices like journaling or meditation, or even something as simple as making your bed every morning can be keystone habits that set the tone for the rest of your day. Once you identify and implement these keystone habits, you'll start to see how they naturally lead to improvements in other areas of your life. The role of environment in habit formation. Another important factor that contributed to the success of my habit transformation was my environment. One of the most overlooked aspects of creating and sustaining new habits is the influence of our surroundings. We often think of habits as something purely internal, something we need to will ourselves to do. But the truth is, our environment plays a huge role in shaping our behaviors. For example, waking up early became easier once I optimized my environment for it. I started by creating a calming morning routine that I looked forward to, which included setting out my workout clothes the night before, placing a book or journal by my bed, and keeping my phone out of the bedroom to avoid distractions. These small environmental changes made it easier for me to stick to my new habit of waking up early. The concept of choice architecture, a term coined by behavioral economist Richard Thaler, is particularly relevant here. Choice architecture refers to the way in which our choices are influenced by the design of our environment. By making small adjustments to your surroundings, you can make it easier to stick to your desired habits and avoid slipping back into old patterns. For instance, if you want to eat healthier, one simple way to do this is by redesigning your kitchen environment. Keep healthy snacks like fruits, vegetables, and nuts easily accessible, and store less nutritious options out of sight. The same principle applies to other habits. If you want to reduce screen time, try placing your phone in another room during meals or work sessions to remove the temptation. The impact of environment on habit formation is also supported by the work of James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. Clear emphasizes the importance of making the cue for your habit as obvious as possible. For example, if your goal is to exercise more, Leaving your workout clothes out the night before or placing your yoga mat in the living room makes it easier to follow through with your intention. Conversely, if you're trying to cut back on unhealthy habits, you can design your environment to reduce exposure to the cues that trigger those behaviors. By optimizing your environment, you make it easier to create new habits and harder to fall back into old ones. It's not about relying solely on willpower but about creating conditions that naturally support your goals. This approach is not only more sustainable but also more effective in the long run. The power of identity-based habits. Another key factor in successfully implementing these habits was a shift in my mindset. I realized that it wasn't enough to just focus on changing my behaviors. I needed to change the way I saw myself. This concept, known as identity-based habits, is a powerful tool for creating lasting change. Identity-based habits are habits that are rooted in the person you want to become. Rather than just focusing on what you want to achieve, instead of setting a goal like, I want to wake up early every day, identity-based habits involve reframing that goal as, I am the type of person who wakes up early. By shifting the focus from outcome to identity, you make the habit a core part of who you are, rather than just something you do. This shift in perspective made a huge difference for me. When I began to see myself as someone who values mindfulness, productivity, and self-care, the habits I was trying to implement became more natural. I wasn't just exercising because I wanted to get fit. I was exercising because I was the type of person who takes care of their body. I wasn't just waking up early to be more productive. I was waking up early because I valued having time for reflection and self-improvement. Research has shown that identity-based habits are more likely to stick because they tap into our intrinsic motivation. When a habit becomes part of your identity, you no longer have to rely on external rewards or sheer willpower to keep it up. You do it because it's part of who you are, and that makes it much easier to sustain over time. The key to implementing identity-based habits is to start small. Rather than trying to overhaul your entire life at once, focus on making small, incremental changes that align with the person you want to become. For example, if you want to become someone who exercises regularly, start by doing just 5 minutes of exercise each day. Over time, as you build consistency, you'll begin to see yourself as the type of person who prioritizes fitness. This approach also allows you to avoid the common pitfall of all or nothing thinking. Too often, people set lofty goals and then give up when they inevitably slip up or miss a day. But identity-based habits are about progress, not perfection. If you miss a day, it doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means you're still in the process of becoming the person you want to be. The science of habit loops. At the heart of habit formation is something called the habit loop. The habit loop, a concept first introduced by Charles Duhigg in The Power of Habit, consists of 3 components: cue, routine, and reward. Understanding this loop is essential for successfully creating and maintaining new habits. The cue is the trigger that initiates the habit. It can be anything from a time of day, an emotional state, or a specific environment. For example, waking up early could be the cue for starting your morning routine, while feeling stressed could be the cue for reaching for comfort food. The routine is the actual behavior or action that you perform in response to the cue. This could be anything from exercising, journaling, or mindlessly scrolling through social media. Finally, the reward is the benefit or positive reinforcement you receive from completing the routine. This could be a feeling of accomplishment, relaxation, or even the dopamine hit from checking social media notifications. To create a new habit, you need to carefully design your habit loop. Identify a specific cue that will trigger your desired behavior, and make sure the reward is something meaningful and positive. Over time, this loop becomes ingrained, and the behavior becomes automatic. The power of the habit loop lies in its simplicity. By understanding the three components of the loop, you can begin to disrupt old habits and create new ones. For example, if your goal is to reduce screen time, you can create a new habit loop by setting a cue, such as turning off notifications. A new routine, engaging in a hobby like reading or drawing. And a reward, a sense of relaxation or accomplishment. Habit stacking. Building momentum for lasting change. One of the most effective strategies I discovered during my journey was the concept of habit stacking. Habit stacking involves linking a new habit to an existing one, creating a chain of behaviors that naturally flow from one to the next. This technique helps build momentum and makes it easier to incorporate new habits into your routine. For example, after I successfully established the habit of waking up early, I began to stack other habits onto my morning routine. After waking up, I would immediately spend 5 minutes stretching, followed by a brief meditation session, and then journaling. By linking these habits together, I created a powerful morning routine that set a positive tone for the rest of the day. Habit stacking works because it builds on the foundation of existing habits. Rather than starting from scratch, you're leveraging the momentum of a habit you've already established to support the formation of a new one. This makes the process of habit formation feel more natural and less overwhelming, as you're simply adding to a routine that's already part of your day. For instance, if you've already established a habit of drinking coffee every morning, you could stack a new habit, such as reading for 10 minutes, onto it. The routine becomes: wake up, make coffee, read for 10 minutes. Over time, this stacked habit will feel seamless, like one continuous flow of positive behavior. The beauty of habit stacking is that you can gradually build a series of habits that work together to improve various aspects of your life. This strategy also taps into the power of consistency. By consistently engaging in a small but meaningful habit, you start to see cumulative benefits over time, even if you only journal for 5 minutes or do a quick workout. The act of stacking these habits ensures that you're continually reinforcing positive behaviors. Each habit reinforces the next, creating a chain reaction that makes it easier to maintain momentum. The key to successful habit stacking is to start small and build gradually. It's tempting to want to overhaul your entire routine at once, but this often leads to burnout. Instead, focus on 1 or 2 habits that you can easily integrate into your existing routine. Once those habits become automatic, you can add new ones. This gradual approach allows you to build a sustainable lifestyle that supports your long-term goals. The importance of self-compassion in habit formation. While implementing new habits can be exciting, it's important to acknowledge that the process isn't always smooth. There will be days when you miss a workout, skip journaling, or spend more time on your phone than you intended. When this happens, it's crucial to practice self-compassion. One of the biggest obstacles to habit formation is the tendency to be overly critical of ourselves when we slip up. We often hold ourselves to unrealistic standards, expecting perfection from the outset. But the truth is, habit formation is a journey. And like any journey, it comes with setbacks and challenges. Instead of beating yourself up when you miss a day or fall back into old habits, approach yourself with kindness and understanding. Remind yourself that progress is not linear, and that it's okay to have moments of imperfection. The most important thing is to get back on track the next day and continue moving forward. Research in psychology has shown that self-compassion is a key factor in long-term habit change. When we treat ourselves with kindness, we're more likely to persevere through setbacks and maintain our motivation. On the other hand, when we criticize ourselves harshly, it can lead to feelings of shame and discouragement, making it harder to get back on track. Self-compassion doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook or avoiding accountability. It means recognizing that you're human, and that mistakes are a natural part of the process. By treating yourself with empathy and understanding, you create a supportive internal environment that fosters resilience and long-term success. One technique that can help cultivate self-compassion is to reframe setbacks as learning opportunities. Instead of seeing a missed habit as a failure, ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. Maybe you were too tired to work out because you didn't get enough sleep the night before. Or maybe you skipped journaling because your evening routine was rushed. By identifying the factors that contributed to the setback, you can make adjustments to your routine and set yourself up for success in the future. Accountability and support systems. Another powerful tool for sustaining new habits is accountability. While self-motivation is important, having external support can make a huge difference in staying consistent. Accountability can come in many forms, whether it's a friend, family member, or even an online community that shares your goals. When you share your intentions with someone else, you create a sense of responsibility to follow through. This doesn't mean you have to rely solely on others to keep you on track. But having someone to check in with can provide an extra layer of motivation and encouragement. For example, if your goal is to exercise regularly, finding a workout buddy can make the experience more enjoyable and give you a reason to show up, even on days when you're not feeling particularly motivated. In addition to one-on-one accountability, group support can be incredibly effective. Joining a community of like-minded individuals who are also working towards similar goals can provide a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. Whether it's a fitness class, a writing group, or an online forum, being part of a community creates a network of support where you can share your progress, celebrate victories, and troubleshoot challenges together. There are also several habit tracking apps that allow you to connect with others who share your goals. These apps can be a great way to stay accountable, as they allow you to track your progress and receive feedback from peers who are on a similar journey. Many apps also offer reminders and rewards, helping to reinforce positive behaviors and keep you on track. Ultimately, accountability doesn't have to be complicated. It's about finding someone or something that helps you stay committed to your habits. Whether it's a simple text message to a friend at the end of the day or a weekly check-in with an accountability partner, having external support can provide that extra push when your motivation wanes. The role of mindfulness in habit change. Mindfulness plays a significant role in the process of habit formation. At its core, mindfulness is about being present in the moment and fully aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. By cultivating mindfulness, you become more attuned to the habits that shape your daily life, both positive and negative. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is its ability to disrupt automatic behaviors. Many of our habits are deeply ingrained and happen almost unconsciously. Whether it's reaching for a snack when we're stressed, checking our phone out of boredom, or procrastinating on important tasks. By practicing mindfulness, we can begin to recognize these patterns and create space between the cue and the response. For example, instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media when you're feeling bored, mindfulness allows you to pause and ask yourself, why am I reaching for my phone? What am I trying to avoid or distract myself from? This moment of awareness creates an opportunity to make a different choice, to engage in a habit that aligns with your goals, rather than defaulting to old patterns. Mindfulness also enhances your ability to stay present with your habits, making them more enjoyable and meaningful. Take mindful eating, for instance. When you eat mindfully, you're fully engaged in the experience, savoring each bite and paying attention to the flavors, textures, and sensations of your food. This not only makes the meal more satisfying, but it also helps you develop a healthier relationship with food. Similarly, when you approach exercise with mindfulness, It becomes less about going through the motions and more about connecting with your body. You become more aware of your breath, your movements, and the sensations in your muscles. This heightened awareness can make the experience of exercise more fulfilling and help you stay motivated. Mindfulness can also be integrated into journaling. By being present with your thoughts and emotions as you write, you can gain deeper insights into your inner world. Instead of simply recounting the events of the day, mindfulness allows you to explore how those events made you feel, what lessons you learned, and how you can grow from the experience. Incorporating mindfulness into your habits doesn't require a major time commitment. It can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths before starting a new activity, or pausing to reflect on how you're feeling in the moment. Over time, these small moments of mindfulness can add up, helping you stay connected to your goals and making the process of habit change more intentional and meaningful. Celebrating progress and milestones. One of the most rewarding aspects of habit formation is the opportunity to celebrate your progress and milestones along the way. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind of trying to stick to new habits. But it's important to take time to acknowledge how far you've come. Celebrating small wins is a powerful way to reinforce positive behaviors and keep your motivation high. Every time you complete a habit, no matter how small, it's a step in the right direction. By recognizing and celebrating these achievements, you create a positive feedback loop that encourages continued effort. For example, if your goal is to exercise regularly, you might celebrate after completing your first week of consistent workouts. This celebration doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be something as simple as treating yourself to a healthy snack, taking a relaxing bath, or sharing your achievement with a friend. The act of acknowledging your progress reinforces the habit and makes it more likely that you'll continue. Celebrating progress is also a reminder that growth is a journey, not a destination. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results or when you encounter setbacks. But by focusing on the small wins and incremental improvements, you stay connected to the process and maintain a sense of momentum. One way to track and celebrate your progress is by using a habit tracker. Whether it's a physical calendar, a journal, or a digital app, tracking your habits allows you to visually see how far you've come. Each checkmark or completed task serves as a reminder that you're moving forward, even on days when progress feels slow. It's also helpful to set specific milestones to look forward to. For example, you might set a goal to meditate for 30 consecutive days or to complete a certain number of journaling sessions. Reaching these milestones gives you a tangible sense of accomplishment and provides a natural point for celebration. Remember, habit formation isn't about perfection, it's about progress. By celebrating the small wins and staying mindful of your growth, you create a positive cycle of reinforcement that keeps you motivated and engaged in the process. As you continue on your journey of self-improvement, it's important to remember that habits are more than just actions. They are reflections of the person you are becoming. Each habit you adopt is a step toward a more intentional, mindful, and fulfilling life. By focusing on small, sustainable changes, you create a foundation for long-term growth and transformation. Whether it's waking up early, exercising regularly, journaling, practicing mindful eating, or limiting screen time, these habits are more than just tasks to check off a list. They are building blocks that support a lifestyle of growth, well-being, and self-compassion. As you embrace this lifestyle, remember to be patient with yourself. Change takes time, and the journey is filled with ups and downs. But with each new habit you form, you're not only improving your daily life, you're becoming the person you've always aspired to be. So, take a deep breath, celebrate your progress, and continue to build the life you want, one habit at a time.